Mila esker, bihotz gurekin egoteagatik. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much for being here with me, and thank you so much for that unworthy applause. I'd like to start by saying that before me, we were going to actually have Ángel Miranda from the Ministry of Education speaking. But a few days ago, he said to me he had to go away on a trip and he wasn't going to be able to come, and that he would like to send you warm greetings and hopes that the conference is interesting for everybody. And I'd like to thank the fact that the Sub-Director General from the Ministry of Education, Soledad Iglesias, is here, as is Paulino Antonio Maria, the Director General of the Skills Institute, and other technicians and specialists from the vocational training world who work in the Ministry of Education. I'm going to start with a word that we seem to be using a lot in this conference. I'm going to carry on using, which is a short word because it's only got a few letters in it, but it's a very deep word, and it's a very long word over time, and that word is future. Because the futurist Woody Allen said, and Woody Allen's quite funny when he talks, he usually says, he said, I want to look after my future because I'm going to be spending the rest of my life there. And that's right. We're going to be spending the rest of our lives in the future. And so are our friends. And all of you out there have to support the idea that this future is appropriate so that the world carries on working as it should do. When we think about the future, if I say to you, let's think about the future for a minute, what sort of feelings do you get? If we just thought for a moment about this room, I'm sure there'd be lots of people who think differently about the future. Some of us would be optimistic, some would be pessimistic. Some would be hopeful, others would be feeling a bit downcast. We'd be sort of between the black and the white and with the grey in the middle. And yet, altogether, we're going to be building this future. It doesn't matter what we think, because we are all going to have to contribute something to this future. And this is a future that we are all going to be building together. It's been said that a pessimist is an optimist with a great deal of experience. But I'm a great optimist, but sometimes I think I'm wrong. And sometimes maybe I think this sentence is right, but actually no. Because I always give an example of how you can cooperate whether you're a pessimist or an optimist. An optimist invented the plane. And you have to be optimistic when you think about it, because when the Wright brothers in 1903 started trying to fly with that higgledy-piggledy thing, that just shows how optimistic they were. But if you actually think about that, a pessimist actually invented the parachute. And you know how useful the parachutes are. Both optimists and pessimists can be useful. So just think where the heights that we've reached, both in the world of aviation and in parachute jumping. So optimists and pessimists can help us achieve an important objective for all of us and for the development of society. We're all important, both for now and for the future. And we all have to work towards the future, whichever stance we take. But if I had to say to you, well, what's going to happen in the future? I'd say, I'd use an example, well, a sort of a funny example. It's been said in the US that there's a fortress and there's the American cavalry, and late at night the Indians attacked the fortress. You can imagine they were all inside the fortress trying to defend it from the Indians, and the captain who said to the guy that's at the top of the fortress, how many Indians are out there? And the guy that was up there looking out at the Indians looked out carefully, and after 20 seconds he said, well, Captain, there are around 200,214 Indians. And the captain said to him, well, how do you know that? He said, yeah, there's 214 at the front and there's 200,000 behind them. And those 214 are well under control. The problem is we've got a debt. There's a lot of debt out there. Many countries have a great debt. And in Europe, we're very much worried about youth unemployment, and in the southern Mediterranean countries, a great deal. That's what we know where to concentrate our efforts. But where is the problem? The problem is that we're going to start living with a great deal of uncertainties and a great deal of complexity. And there's nothing worse for human beings than living in a situation of uncertainty. We all like certainty. Of course we do. We all like to be sure. But the world, for a while, and for a long while, is going to be a very uncertain world. And we have to be prepared for uncertainty, which is what we're trying to do here, and which is what I'm trying to say to you now, because everything is going to change. Everything is changing, and constant change requires constant transformation. And that means that we have to be prepared to change. And it means that we're going to have to change a lot of what we do. Society and the world and productive sectors are all changing. So politics need to change. Policies need to change. The way the world operates needs to change, because a lot is changing. So we need to transform. I don't mean reform, I mean transform. Reform is making use of what you've already done and making use of the best things that you've done. If we can transform, we'll be able to get things heading along the right route. And we'll do something which is very important, which is the ability to respond. We need to be able to reply to new problems that were unknown in the past, that need to be replied to. We have people that are in problematic situations, problems that they didn't have before, and they need to be able to reply to these problematic situations. And in this context of complexity, in this situation of uncertainty, there are 6 elements that we're going to be immersed in continually. Technology, knowledge and cooperation, first of all. If we want to make progress in transformations, we're going to have them surrounding, but there are 3 things in addition to that we need to have, which are ethics, values and firm commitment. And how can we define this idea of commitment? I'm looking out there at my colleagues. How do we define commitment? The best definition to explain what commitment is a good dish of eggs and bacon. You know, the egg comes from a hen who participates, but it's the pig that gives us the bacon that really gets involved. That's the problem. Don't worry. One thing is participation, the other thing is getting involved, and we need to get involved. We need to get fully immersed in all the projects that we're participating in, because any idea, any project that we want to set up is always going to require people. People are vital. We need to concentrate our efforts on people, because without people we are nothing. Robots are just tools. Automation machines, they're just tools. It's people that are important. And let's hope that it carries on that way for many years to come. That's why we need to concentrate on people, because if you don't have people who think, who believe, who are able to project, who can develop, then there's nothing. You are those who have to make sure that things happen. But of course, it's not just any old person. We need people that are well trained, that are able to make progress towards different fields and where we all have something to provide. So we can no longer think that there are some people that are worthwhile and others that are useless. It's not like that. We've all got a bit of genius in us that makes us different. Every single one of us, we're all unique. We're all good at something. And that's what we have to make use of. We can't just throw somebody on the scrap heap because they weren't very good at school and we think they're now worthless, or because of their strange way of going about things. No, we need to make use of everything that's good in them so that they can develop throughout their lives for what society needs. And we need to make use of all these little bits of genius that we all have. Darwin said that it's the survival of the fittest. He also said it's the survival of the most intelligent. He also said that we need to adapt, and that's what we need to do. We need to look for the best, the strongest, the most intelligent, of course, but also the least intelligent. But what we need to do is to make them be able to adapt, and that's what we are going to work on here. And in addition to this ability to adapt, they need to have meaning to their life. They need to have an objective, something that's worthwhile for them. Today, there are people aren't clear about what their objective in life is. These are people that think that life is meaningless. There's no point in being here. And we can't live like that. We need to work hard so that people have meaning to their lives, so that they believe that what life really is worthwhile. And of course, then governments come into play, because you need leadership, because we need to know where we're heading. We need to concentrate on where we're heading. We're clear about that because our president explained to us yesterday where we have to go. He even explained to us where vocational training should be heading. And I'll be explaining a little bit more about that during my talk, because vocational training, as he quite rightly said, and was said by the Minister for Employment and for Education, is vital and important. And we're going to be concentrating even more on education. It's a difficult time we're going through at the moment. We've got out of a very dramatic situation. We're now in a difficult moment, but we've got out of a dramatic situation. But I also should say that in Gipuzkoa, where you are now, 3 out of every 4 companies are now emerging today from the crisis. And in not a very short space of time, they're going to start hiring workers. Those of you that were here last year, I think you might remember I said, we're going to be suffering in 2012, 2013, 2014, but in 2015, you'll see that we're going to start growing again and we're going to start creating jobs. And that's the route we're heading down, because we're thinking about what we're doing, because the work that we're doing in VET is the appropriate work so that things can happen. Because when we talk about leading a country, we need to think of very important things. What sort of country do we want? What do we want to be? Do we want to be a country where we manufacture a lot for other countries, with cheap labor, with low wages, with a fragile quality of life? Well, that's one solution. Do we want to be a country where people come on their summer holidays? A country that offers services? Or do we want to be a technologically advanced country with a prepared, highly qualified society where social cohesion is a prime requisite? We want this final example. We've got a clear position on this. We want to concentrate on what we feel is vital, because as our president said, our greatest priority must be human development. That's where we're going to be concentrating our efforts, on human development, on developing people with a clear goal. We've set 3 goals here. For 2020, we want the Basque country to be one of the leading 3 countries in the world with the highest level of human development index. We've been there in the past, and we want to get back there. We want to reduce our unemployment rate to 6%. It's currently around 15%. We were at 6% before the arrival of the financial crisis. And even more important is to reduce our poverty index to below 5%. That's our government's objective. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to achieve. And that's where VET is going to work tough, because we want to base our competitiveness on value, not on cost. We're going to be value-based, not cost-based, because we're going to be able to do things either differently to others or better than others. That means you have to concentrate on very advanced sectors. And these are those sectors that are going to allow us to be value-based in our competitiveness and not cost-based. And we're going to be concentrating on 3 elements. Firstly, advanced industry and advanced manufacturing. Secondly, balanced economic growth. That's vital. The economy needs to grow in a balanced way for there to be social cohesion. That's vital. And then we want to work towards a different kind of employability. Jobs are going to change a great deal, and people don't seem to realize that. Employability is going to be a different way of doing things, and we need to work towards a different kind of employability. If we concentrate on industry, there are 3 important concepts that I want to get across. Firstly, systematic transformation of competitiveness. This is something that our companies are starting to do. Those companies that are beginning to be very competitive and are getting out of that dark tunnel are because they've changed. They've changed the way in which they're competitive. And they are asking us for the kind of students they want, the kind of workers they want. And we have to be able to reply to that because we're going to be a vital cornerstone for their development. But that means that employment and companies are transforming. They're going to work in a different way. They're going to stop being pyramid-shaped. People need to work in teams so that they can work towards common goals. It's not a question of bosses and workers. No, it's a different way of working. And we have to prepare people that work in VAT so they can work in this way. And what's more, knowledge and skills are changing. That's what's really complicated. That's what forces us to change. That's why we're talking today about a new kind of VET. We've done things really well up to date, but that's insufficient now. We need to evolve towards a different kind of model that I'll now explain to you. And in addition to that, and this was something that was said by the president yesterday, companies need to bring together 4 elements: production, training, improvement and innovation. And all companies have to do that, big, small and micro. Because if we want to transform continually our production processes, our products, and if we want to carry on being competitive, our companies are going to have to work on these 4 concepts. And above it all, we need to work as a network. Companies need to cooperate with vocational training centers. This is something that we've been doing for a while now, but that's actually key to our model. Networking. We need to work together as a team. And then we need to work together on joint ventures. And this is something that we're already starting to do. When I talk about balanced growth, what I mean is intelligent growth, sustainable growth, which is aimed at sustaining growth over time so that we can support our economy in the long time. We need growth in the long time so that we can get the jobs that we need, create the jobs that we need, but it also needs to be sustainable for our planet's sake. And the third kind of growth is inclusive growth. Social cohesion, that is so important so that really society can say that it's an advanced society because everybody is evolving together in a positive way. When we talk about employability, we find there are computers that are able to think and that are also intuitive. They're very, very advanced, these computers. And we've got automation as well. And if we start thinking about the fact that we're now working on 4.0 industry, which is completely automated industry, the first thing that you realize is that an automated company at this level will be actually doing away with jobs. And those people that lose their jobs need to go somewhere so that they can work and live. And where are they going to go? We need to find those places, those slots in the market where neither machines nor robots can work. We need to find those places where people can do things that neither machines nor robots can do. That's going to be the key for our development. And that requires skills and an awful lot of knowledge, an awful lot of training. And that's where we are going to have to get things right, whether we like it or not. Here we've got some important figures on the screen. Today, 70% of jobs in industry today require some kind of vocational training qualification. Yesterday, Guillermo said I was going to talk about this. Here, 43% of all students of vocational training schools are working in industry. Of course, there are service sectors as well, but 43% of vocational training students end up working for industry, for the industrial sector. That's so important. So they're being trained in industrial vocational training. That's something that's very important for us. But by 2020, what are we going to need in the Basque Country? 76% of people are going to have some kind of industrial vocational training, which means we're going to need more people in VET because we're going to have jobs which we don't have the skills to fill in companies soon. This is something that we're very worried about, and we're still looking at how we can get more people in vocational training so that they can fill those jobs quickly. And it's no good just preparing skilled professional people. We need to train people. And when those people are well trained, what we then do is make them into good professionals. That's how we're going to create value. They're people who are good professionals, not just professionals. We need people who are able to think for themselves, that can understand, that can relate, that can work as a team, and that, of course, work. And that's the road we're heading down, because you can be well trained to do things, but that's insufficient. It's not just a matter of studying something and working in that field. If you are trained to do something, you then need to be able to develop something else. That's the idea. Okay, this is easy to say, but it's very complicated to do. You need to make what a company understands as being trained to something that can then look towards the future. In the Basque country, we are organizing a new model, a model that we've called the combined framework of training, innovation and entrepreneurship. That's the future of the Basque country. That's where we're going to be working. What you've got here are three large columns. This is vocational training, this is innovation, and this is entrepreneurship. And I'm going to start with the vocational training. Training and VET is very good here. We've already done a great deal of work in this field. You've already done a great deal of work in this field, but that's insufficient. We need to make progress, because many companies, especially in the industrial sector, are asking us to become more and more specialized. And they're telling us that it's not sufficient, the training that we give our girls and boys in VET. They need to be even more skilled. And we've got the European Skills Framework as a benchmark. We've also got our national skills framework. And with that, we're going to set up a Basque skills framework, which is going to be aimed at two main areas: specialization of our vocational training in the different sectors that we have here, especially in industry. This specialization we're already working on with different companies and different sectors to pinpoint which areas we need to specialize in. But also we've got this a framework between vocational training centres and university, because a person who's trained in VET but also then goes up to university can really be even more highly trained. We're looking at different skills profiles that cover these two educational areas, and that's kind of complex because universities are very independent and they have different way of going about things. It's going to take time to do that, and the Ministry of Education has a lot to say there about how we can link vocational and education training to university training. But above all, specialization is a priority. So if you look, there are three elements to training that are important. We've got the integrated vocational and education training system, careers guidance. But how do we go about that? This is what our integrated system looks like. It's true that the previous government made a series of changes because they wanted to improve things, but we've noticed that there hasn't been improvement, so we've re-looked at all of this. Vocational training and training in the education system and training for workers and the unemployed, all kinds of training comes down to this comprehensive network of vocational training centres. That's where the most important vocational training centres are going to be, not just the best, but the most important, because we're going to need vocational training centres that can deal with all kinds of students, those that have difficulties in studying and those that are first in class. This is our integrated system of qualifications of vocational training, and this is the model that we're going to carry on developing. Today, with the act that's going to be passed for the education system, this is what things look like today. What are we going to find here? We're going to find that people are going to come to us who are going to have difficulties with learning. We know that. And we've got to make those into qualified professionals as well. So we're working on how we can strengthen what we call basic level VET, because those people who study basic level VET have also got something to say, have also got something to contribute to society. They have problems, and yet the people that join us here are going to be more prepared, better trained. So we need to be sensitive to prepare people here well, but here, and these are people who are already well trained, we're going to have to give them additional training, additional skills, and that's where we start specializing. In fact, so much so that we're working now on an integrated basic level VET. That is, those students that come to us with learning difficulties, we're trying to get them to achieve 3 qualifications. We're going to get them to study basic level VET. We're going to strengthen their basic skills, their technical skills, and then we're going to try to move them on to intermediate VET and secondary school qualifications, because we feel that this is what you at least need to have a school leaving certificate to get on in this world. So this is the model that we're working on, and we think, and here the Basque Knowledge Institute is working hard, we feel that we're actually getting things right. The idea is to strengthen those people who come to us with the greatest difficulties. But we're also working higher up the ladder. We're going to see if we can combine intermediate and advanced VET and end up getting all these people to obtain some kind of specialization. This is something that Lehendakari spoke of yesterday when he said that we'd actually copied part of the German stroke Austrian Swiss model. The Austrian, Swiss and German models are all very similar. We've not looked at how they do things because there are some things that we don't like that they do. We prefer the model that we have here. But what have we concentrated on here? We've concentrated on the number of students that participate in dual vocational training and the amount of time they spend there. And by 2020, the government has told me that 50% of our vocational training students in the Basque Country need to be involved in dual FP or work-linked training. That means that thousands of companies are going to have to get involved helping vocational training students on work-linked training or dual FP or VET. We're now currently at this level. Look at the figures. We're not going to be replacing on-site classroom training with work-linked training. What we're going to try to do is to offer comprehensive training to make them as functional as possible in this kind of learning. What they do here at the actual technical school, we'll be training them there and we'll be specializing them. But we're going to add to that all these hours working in companies. This is the model that we like, this 3-year model here. They'll spend these hours at the vocational training school with around 1,740 hours at school, but they're going to be around 3,000 hours in a company. So they'll have a total of 4,790 hours of training, and they'll be highly, highly qualified.
So at the end of the day, we're going to have a guarantee preparation for the companies and for the employability of our people. And this is very important. So the dual system that we like, especially the number of people that need to participate, and we're going to stand up for it because we need to provide skills to the people and making sure that the young people have the necessary skills to work in those companies. So what skilled workers are we going to look for? We look for skilled workers that are specialized, middle managers, so to speak. And there's something that they also have in Germany and in other countries, experts in R plus D plus I that are specialized in this field, i.e. development experts or product development experts, and they are going to work in research centers in R plus D plus I, or technological centers, or companies in the R plus D departments. So we already have students that work in the R plus D plus I departments in different companies. We need to strengthen things like maths, calculus, but we're having very good results. These are going to be the skilled workers that we're going to have in the Basque country, and these are going to make us more competitive, because 76% of work or of jobs are going to be covered by these professional workers. In terms of professional orientation or counseling, we're going to have 4 types of orientation, 2 types of psychopedagogical counselors. Then we have work counselors that who work in the Basque Agency for Work, and they need to work, or they work with us. And then we have what we call the mediators, and they work in non-formal apprenticeships. They give advice and support to any person who is interested in non-formal training. They resort to the mediators, and we have many mediators. Then we have the FOL teachers. They are going to play a very important role in all the what we call the counseling environment. They have a lot of potential, and we need to take advantage of this potential. So the FOL teachers champion all this work, because we need them. They are vital for the system to make this work. In terms of improvement, we have all sorts of certifications, investors in people, the 5 S's, and we are looking for a model that is intuitive, easy to use, user-friendly, and we are evolving towards new models. But we are going to go into a different model, into a model where we want to improve academic results. See if we are able to deploy a model which is limb-based, limitation-based, where we can improve results at a classroom level, so teachers can have a tool to improve. And I think this is being done by the quality department of the VET department, and they are very, very good at what they do. And in many centers that you work for improvement, and we are getting a lot of very positive results from it. Then we turn to the second column, which is applied innovation. This is something new, and it's outside vocational training. We need to develop this innovation together with SMEs, small and medium companies. The big companies are good at its pace, and companies are very competitive, but 60% the companies that need support in order to become competitive, and we are talking about SMEs. And I think that vocational training is key, and we are already doing a lot in this direction. How do we do this? We work in a field called intelligent specialization, a European study which is very good to prioritize the most important fields, which is led by the innovation department. By working together, they tell us what are the sectors, and the VET will work in those sectors that they told us. So under smart specialization, we have strategic environments, specializing areas, and projects in strategic environments where companies and VET centers are working, especially SMEs, so they can work in different fields, especially in this case, in advanced manufacturing, either in process or product. We're already working with companies and having very good results. And today you will be able to some of you, you will be able to know a bit more about these projects that we are working on. The idea is to go towards that advanced manufacturing. And then we have areas of specialism. The government, but the Basque government wants us to specialize in specific areas. And then projects or advanced management projects. Those are the most significant projects. Which are the areas where we're working on? So we're working on advanced manufacturing, but next course we will cover automotive sector, energy, railway transport, industrial robotics and artificial vision, and digital manufacturing in 3D in ICAS Lab. I think you saw this yesterday, and lean manufacturing, especially in manufacturing, how we improve manufacturing process based on people. And this is amazing how we change the mindset of someone who's working in a productive sector. This is what we are required, and this is what we're working on. What specialization areas are we working on? These fields are very different to what we are accustomed to, but we are being asked to work on this because they need people that they want to develop products that are being developed at a research level, and we need to be able to develop them. Bioscience, new materials, energy efficiency, virtual environments, nanotechnology, biotechnology, drones, and smart cities. So VET is going to play a very important role in all these fields. So we're seeing to which extent we can get to in order to develop these environments, and where we need to resort to technological centers. And there's no competition. Technological centers are doing a great job, a very large work with the research centers, but we're going to help small businesses so that technological centers have that help. So this is going to be our work. In terms of the center works that are carried out in the centers, we've had more than 150 projects in different VET centers, and having a very good evolution in terms of application in VET. So when we talk about development, as always, it all ends up in the same boxes, which is the technical colleges and the teachers. These are the key. We can have the brightest ideas, to have a very good PowerPoint presentation, to have a good presentation, but if the technical colleges or the VET centers do not develop this is all done in vain. So in my opinion, we have the best technical colleges in the world. And when I talk about this, they look at me a bit strange, but they actually go for it because they also think that we need to work in this direction. We need you. The president said this. We need to work a lot, but it's all going to look very good at the end. So centers work with another management model. We need to have other management models that allow us to work better. And we work in different environments. For example, what we call competitive intelligence. This is a tool that is going to help us a lot, what we call competitive intelligence. It allows us to improve our change management, and we need to work from two perspectives, from what we call strategic approach from each of the centers, which is going to be very different from one to another, and there's going to be a lot of independence, so to speak, in terms of strategic approaches that is set by the center, and what we call operational focus, and how the information is conveyed to the person that needs to develop those projects. And in a couple of words, as a teacher, and I'm very proud of, when I'm working in my department and when my boss tells me what we need to do in what you came my center, and I feel very proud. And when the director tells us what are the tasks that we need to develop and what we need to do, so how the information is conveyed to the owner, which is myself, how the information is conveyed, and which is going to be provided by competitive intelligence. We're going to have a key person for changes, and we're going to have this sort of figure of a person in the centers. People that are going to play a very important role to develop this progress. If we want to go forward towards new things, we need to introduce these sort of things. We need to introduce what we call creative routines. How do we create creativity? How we generate creativity so that one teacher comes up with an idea, she's going to be able to put it into practice, and not to limit someone, to let them work. We need to let them work. If we do something like this properly, it would be better. Let's try. We need to start using this and to give them dynamic abilities, so to speak. And we have a lot of abilities, and we can contribute with our abilities. People offer without being asked. Whether they are allowed to carry on is another story, but people always offer things. If it has a future, the idea, then we can carry on. If not, well, we can stop there. But this is the philosophy that we want to follow. It's all a continuum, and if we introduce routines, we need to start thinking on how we're going to work on thinking. As in innovation, we have Technica, which some of you visited, and we're going to have the Basque Creativity Institute, and which is going to work on a thinking revolution. We work on rational thinking well and critical thinking, but we need to work on constructive thinking or creative thinking, emotional intelligence, and executive intelligence. And we need to do it slowly, without big steps, and going little by little, where everyone gets trained. And there's going to be more information if you want to have more details. So what does thinking allow us? We need people to put forward proposals, to set objectives, to assess priorities, and to generate alternatives. People who think and propose, and they mustn't be afraid of suggesting things. This is important. We need other visions, other mindsets. We need different visions, like informative, intuitive, constructive, creative, and organizational vision. These are the fields that the Basque Institute for Creativeness is working. Maybe we'll fail. Maybe we'll fail, or maybe it's useless. But we're going to try. We're going to give it a good try. And by working with you, by networking, I'm sure that you're going to give us lots of inputs that are going to be very important. And with your input, we're going to explore this field. Maybe this will allow us to improve our work and achieve our aims: employability of people, preparation of those people, or training of those people, and the skills of the people. Then there's a third column, which is entrepreneurship and business development. The entrepreneur culture from 2012 to 2014, we've gone from 6,206 students to what we would have maybe in 2015 of 8,000 students that will get to know the importance of companies for the future of our society, and the importance of being entrepreneur in your work or whenever you work in a company. For this purpose, we have a very interesting project which is called ICAS Empresa, where many students participate and they work with virtual companies. There you have some figures, number of students and projects that they've been working on, and the volume of companies that we could end up working on in 2015. But if you look at the companies that we've created, you can see that in 2012, out of 108 projects, 38 companies were set up, and from in 2015, out of 230 projects, we could be able to set up 100 companies. Between 2004 and 2014, we've created about 150 companies, and 80% of which are running and working. And this project is working very well. How about internationalization? Our companies need our help to work in the foreign countries, to train people abroad that in products that we have designed. We have found difficulties so that we can support them in the internationalization process in the fields that I've covered, always having advanced manufacturing and cooperating with other countries. If a country can support us or we can support them, and working on something that is very important. And our students are going to participate in European and international projects. It's very important for our students to know other cultures and can develop in terms of have personal development and professional development. And then what we have active VET. Lately, in the past years, I'm seeing that we are losing intellectual capacity. Teachers that have been working in VET for many years, and we've known each other for many years. I've been a teacher for 36 years, and I know teachers that are about to retire. So the idea is that those people that maybe they've retired, maybe they want to participate in projects with working people, or even people that are in a company, and maybe they feel like contributing with students, with teachers that are working. So the idea is to work before we get to before summer, so we can create projects with them, because we cannot lose this all this knowledge that we have acquired after so many years in VET in the Basque country. So what's what we call the strategic core? These are the technical colleges or the VET centers. They need to be flexible and they need to be able to adapt. But we can't see only teachers or we want to see group or teams of people that but they need to be able to work in other projects, and they need to cover 3 areas: to create value on a daily basis at the classroom, to improve in whatever is possible day by day. And even there are 2 more fields, which is innovation and improvement, and I think we're doing a good job here, and we need to improve even more. And there's a 3rd field that we need to dwell on, is strategies and values. We need to add strategy, and we need to introduce values that are very important for the development of the people that go to the VET centers. We need a new structure in the centers. They need to be more autonomous, so to speak, because they need to have room for maneuver in order for them to work, a larger room for maneuver, so that they can carry on projects, so you can find allies, so to speak. We're going to have technological surveillances, knowledge management, and competitive intelligence. And these centers are going to be different. We're going to have VET centers, and that's what we are. But we are going to have centers that are going to focus in what we call advanced specialization. We're going to have applied innovation centers or active entrepreneurship centers, and then what we call high performance centers, and then the VET centers for 2020. It's a center that is different to the one we got now. We need to define another model of VET. We don't know yet which one's going to be, but we are setting the draft or the lines because we have to work among many of us to see which other center we would need to go forward in the 21st century. We may have to think of another VET center, and we're going to design little by little and start using it in 2020. When we talk about high performing or high performance centers, we are based on a collaboration learning, and we change the type of learning, we change the type of development, we change the concept of understanding. What's going to change? There's going to be a self-managed teachers. There's going to be flexibility in organization, different areas, different design, different classrooms, and by working with a tool, and we're going to explain this tool this afternoon. We're going to work with the company as well. Companies are always going to be very close to us, and a specific and cross-functional competencies, capacities. We need to increase change capacity, and we cannot only assess them in terms of what they are. If not, we would say they're VET centers. We need to assess them in terms of what they know, and there we have to take into account the knowledge that exists in those centers, not only in the classrooms, but apart from the thing, there's also things that we can contribute, and the capacity they have in order to do things. And this is enormous, and this is probably one of our biggest strengths. Using the knowledge of teachers. We need to look for a different management, and we have to agree upon this management. So consensus and dialogue is very important, talking to stakeholders, with the employers, and we need to work on ethics. Ethics is very important, and being transparent in a way, and the government needs to be transparent in terms of what we're going to do, where we're heading we're working with many different centers. The VET in the Basque country are all of you. Everyone is part of it, but we need to work in a transparent manner, networking by distributing burdens and workloads, and in a balanced manner. These are going to be the keys in order for VET in the Basque country to have success, so to speak. So at the end of the day, people are the important agents. But we need to networking. Each of one of us is going to work in their things, but at the end of the day we have to network, and we need to know what we're doing. We know we have the framework, but from there you're going to have lots of flexibility. It's what we called organized disorganization, and where you can work comfortably giving answers to companies and to VET centers. And the center is going to be based in three fundamental pillars: human capital or workforce, which we have technological capital, design, development, production, and creating value and giving support to SMEs. And then innovation capital, innovative capital, which is cooperation and technological intensity investment that we need to put into the centers and government is going to carry out, and knowledge they need to grow. Teachers, which is key, are going to receive that support so they have the appropriate knowledge in order to convey that knowledge to the students. This requires to be audacious, and we have people here are audacious, well, and brave. If you want to cross an abyss, you have to jump. You can't take it in little steps. Either you jump or you don't jump. We just started jumping. Let's see where we fall. Either we fall on the other end or we go down the abyss. I think that we're going to manage to cross the abyss, but I need you to push me, and I hope you push me so we get to the other end. Because we can't work by putting patches, so to speak, and we are not setting a methodology for this term for 4 years, and we're not talking only for this 4 years. We are working towards 2020 so that we have a model that is going to ensure the fact that the Basque Country is going to have a sustainable growth and return to the growth levels that we've had in the past and even improve. And taking into account the 3 challenges, we have put the stakes in industry. Industry gives us a lot of employment. Industry employment has higher quality employment with better salaries. In order to have a welfare and for society to work, people need to work better and well. They want quality jobs and well paid, and this is what we are heading for and we're trying to develop. We need to work for it, each of one of us. But it was very important. We need to work. We need to work first person plural so that others can also improve, because if they improve, we all improve, we all develop. Because by working together, we'll be able to success in many fields by cooperating among countries, between countries, centers, regions, companies. So when there's unity, there's power. And VET centers are going to do so as well. How are we going to be able to walk on a different direction whenever we want to develop an environment where we can do things that others don't do it and we can be properly better? Of course, we need to cooperate in the with coordination. In a country, I'm not going to say which, and NASA sent an email. There was a big earthquake, and NASA sent an email. There's a big earthquake. Please give us all the information. After 15 days, 2 months, there's no answer. So NASA writes again, please, there's been a big earthquake. Please tell us any information about that. And 3 days after, they got the answer, and they said, a seismic movement under control. The politicians have been arrested. We haven't responded earlier because we've had an amazing earthquake. There's been cooperation but no coordination. So we need that coordination, which is very important, because if we cooperate, we'll be able to overcome that abyss. If ants are able to do this, I think that we are even more capable, and this is what we need to do, try and bridge that gap. And I usually say something, is that at least we've tried. Come on, we've tried. We're going to try, we're going to give it a go. and with determination, and by knowing that I have you're going to back me up, we're going to try even further. We have to try. And there's always a guide or a reference that encourages us that whenever you fall 7 times, you need to stand up again. You need some sort of reference. What is the best reference so that it makes me carry on fighting for things? And I think that we are thinking of the same person. So who could be the world reference? Some countries may not know, but I think that you all know the world reference in terms of fighting adversity. There you are. There we are.
Vale, algún día le pillo.
The Roadrunner. I've been trying to see the
Funcione la marca Acme.
the coyote trying to catch the Roadrunner. But I've been following the Roadrunner. But someday he's going to be caught by the coyote. But if he's caught in a chapter that I haven't seen, there's going to be a big depression for me. So he's a genius. He's a genius. He doesn't stop. And he goes over many things and he carries on. He's my hero. The coyote is my hero. So, come on. If he manages, we will be able to manage. And I always like to finish my presentations with this quotation. And I think it's very important, especially for teachers. For those of you who are teachers as well. Because this is true. This quotation is from Henry Adams, and I put 2 H's on top. These 2 H's have been very important for me in my life. So what can it be? It can be humor, or Hood. My name is Robin Hood. It could be many things. It means to do and to do, or DD would be in English. The Templars, the Templar Knights said that action, it's the basis of knowledge and its application. To do. We can be the best teachers of the world. We can have a large knowledge. We know many things, but if we don't convey that knowledge, we won't achieve what we want for our people. If you want to contact me via Twitter, there you have the address. If not, the email address of the Basque government, it will be a pleasure to talk to you or to contact you. I'm going to talk about my colleagues, teachers of the Basque country. We are going through a very difficult time. We're better than last year. I think that we're in the right track, but we need you more than ever. In all aspects, from being critical to being supportive. So if you think that is something that we can improve, or if you see something that is not working, please tell us. We need you to help us push. So with that push that Jose Ignacio talked about yesterday, it was an excellent manager and a great friend and an admirer. And now it's time to go forward. And I think that we believe this is the change that we need to make. And tell our friends from other countries and to the rest of the autonomous communities that any time that you need our help, you can count on it. We'll be always there. And if we need help, maybe we'll contact you as well to learn as much as we can. Thank you very much.